In today's video, I want to share a whole bunch of continuous line quilting designs. Hi, I'm Kim Jamieson-Hirst of Chatterbox Quilts, and today I want to share this book with you. It's just new out from C&T Publishing, so thanks so much to C&T Publishing for sending me this copy to share with you. It's called 850 Free Motion Quilting Designs, Encyclopedia of Continuous Line Patterns, Stitch pictorial motifs, and all over textures. That's a mouthful, right? And it's from Laura Lee Fritz. Now, you may have seen some of Laura Lee's previous books, like this one, 250 Continuous Line Quilting Designs, and some of these designs are in this book. So it's, like they say, an encyclopedia of continuous line quilting designs. Now, you can use these free motion. You could use them for hand quilting as well if you wanted to. You could even use them to quilt on a long arm machine. So let's take a look at what she's got inside. So in the introduction, she tells you here that there are different categories in this book, 3 different categories in the book. There are feature images that are recognizable and nameable objects and creatures. There are environments, land, sky, sea, and more, and there are textures, which is all over designs and meandering designs. So there is something for every need you have when you're quilting in this book. So let's dive in. So one of the things I like is how she's got them split out. So there are different categories. You'll see on the side here, not beautiful, looks like a rainbow, right? Those are all the different design categories, I would say, sort of subsets, if you will, of those ones I previously mentioned. So here are these meandering and all over designs. There's 350 of them, and within them there are these subcategories. So we start with the meandering design. So those are ones that go, all over your quilt. You probably know the, little squiggly look meandering design that everybody seems to start with, right? But this takes these up a notch for sure. So I'm just going to share a few of them because, there's 850 designs in here. I can't share all of them with you, but let's take a look at some of them in the meandering category. So you can see how they're going all over the place. And there are, this is kind of what you would look at as kind of your common sort of meandering design, but there's this little cross thing that we're doing in here that we're crossing over the line before we're changing direction. So when they tell you can't cross your lines in your quilting, it's not true. You definitely can, and there are times when it makes it much more interesting. But you can see all the different ideas. I think this is kind of fun. I think this would be great on a kid's quilt, right? Very fun, whimsical. Here you can see it's a similar one here. We're kind of doing these kind of straight squares, if you will, or straight lines as we go along, whereas here we're doing the wavy lines, but we're adding those extra little elements in. More meandering designs, okay? So again, you can find different designs that suit the theme of your quilt. We've got sharks, we've got musical notes, we've got mountains and valleys, we've got, I don't know what these guys, this guy reminds me of a little owl actually, but kind of techie looking thing, I think. So all different ideas for you in here. Continuing on into ones that are more organic looking, like a flower. It's like a flower echo. This reminds me of like a maze. This is kind of fun and wild all over the place. And this is kind of different too. So, by simply changing some of the directions of the lines, by simply adding some additional elements, you can take that kind of normal meander and make it look so much more interesting and appropriate to your particular quilt. Now, within this meandering, she also has what she calls square dancing designs. And these are ones where you are using the seams to help to create your designs. So you can see here, if you had, envision here that you've got different seams in there, you can see how you can work within a little square and create these different designs, what she calls square dancing designs. And again, you can see where she's got the dots, those are where your seams would be, right? So you can envision these. So you can see they often involve a change in direction. Some are straight lines, some are curved lines, some are wavy lines. A lot you can do, and these are not that difficult to do either. So even if you're a beginner, you could do these designs. She also gets into orange peel designs. Again, we're talking about using the seams to create your designs. And you can see, again, she's got the dots in here, but look you've even got little dogs in there, right? And these kind of stretched out stars, if you will. These remind me of starfish, or even if you think of it kind of like a swallow or a bird, kind of going this way, sort of. Depends on how you look at them. But again, things that I would not really think of doing with an orange peel type of design. Clamshells. Everybody knows what the clamshells look like, right? Your basic clamshells. Well, you can change them up slightly to create some really interesting images. So you can add additional little designs at the top, something a little different when you come to the top of it, or you can even change it so that it isn't a rounded shape, but more of a squarish shape. Lots of fun. More ideas. Look at this with the little trees in it. Perfect for Christmas or winter type designs. Something like this where you're coming in and just doing that. Just a couple little circles in there as you go along. Very easy to do. And a lot more interesting, right? Here's some more. Look at the little fish. Or this. I thought this was gorgeous. Reminds me of kind of some waves or something, but there's little flowers in there too. Lots of fun designs. And speaking of waves, she has wave designs. So again, at the beginning, she will show you, as she did in the other sections, I didn't really point it out that much to you, but she'll show you what your kind of basic, what people would think of quilting when they think of waves, your basic design, and then we're going to add some things to it. So again, you can see these all start with this curve to create the wave, and then we're adding something on the way back, which is really interesting. Serpentine designs. All right, your serpentine, just a wavy line. You can just add, little loops in there, little circles in there. Add a little bit more to your circle, right? Change it up a little bit. I think these are very fun too. And you can get even more complicated with them. You can create a horse with a little gate going along there, or it looks like a little mountain goat going on there. People, houses. Aren't the houses cute? Yeah. Fan design. So you can think of like a Baptist fan where you create them like this usually. Here's where they've got a double line area. But she explains how those are created, and then we can go into creating other looks with that basic fan design. Look at the one with the birds in it, right? Very cute. Here again, we have those kind of little, I don't know, kind of three-leafed little things. I don't even have words to describe these. They're just really interesting though, right? And then we get into feather designs. Everybody loves feathers, but you can change them up. And really the feather starts with that long, if you will, serpentine, kind of an S-shaped loop there. And you can add all kinds of things to it, right? It doesn't have to be plumes. Look at all the different suggestions. Look at this one. How simple is this, right? And you're coming back with this one. You're coming up, and you're just doing wiggly shapes coming back to it, and then you can go on and create another one. Simple, but very effective. So once we've finished with those kinds of designs, the meandering and all these other different designs, then she has these pictorial designs. Now, some of these could be used in an all-over design. Some, I think, could kind of stand on their own in almost like a whole cloth quilt. And again, they are separated into subsections. We have birds, fungi, and insects in the garden. It goes on and on. So let's take a look at some of the birds first. So here we have some birds. So you can see that you've got, a smaller one here, but this is quite large. So whether you have a big block, just a solid piece of fabric that you want to put that in, or you want to make that into a mini quilt, you could just do it standalone. There's lots of different choices, right? And there's lots of different birds in here, okay? Again, we get into some of these ones, which to me are like a whole scene. And I think you could even take some of these, and if you just had, solid fabric with some sashing in between, you could choose these different birds and quilt them in there, and that would look really great. I mentioned fungi and insects. I'm not a big insect person, I will say. And I know mushrooms seem to be very popular lately. But you've got all kinds of insects in here, butterflies, bees, all kinds of different ones in there. Continuing with kind of the outside theme in the garden. So you've got different kinds of leaves, flowers. Some of these are gorgeous. I think this is beautiful. Reminds me of carnations. That one does. So you can see how a design like this, you could just keep going with this. Have it an all-over design all over your quilt. Frog in the garden. On the farm, we've got dogs and cats, of course. Lots of cats and dogs in here, and other animals as well, and farm equipment, rabbits. So things you might not really think of, using on your quilt, you might find just the perfect one in this book. The wilderness file, again, more outside animals, wild ones this time. The elk or moose there, fish, the deer jumping. And you could even take elements of these. If you didn't want to do the whole design, you could just do, you know, one of the deer and keep doing these different deer around if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be everything in the design. Keep that in mind too. Staying at home. So we have some kitchen things in here. We have, of course, sewing things as well. The sewing machines and needles and thread. Lots of different ideas in here. Out at sea. I love the seahorses. I think they're very cute. And you even get into, you know, boats and whales and sea turtles, I'm guessing, right? And then she even has ones through the season. So you're going to have spring, summer, fall, and winter in here. Spring, you can see, isn't this gorgeous? With the basket there. Thought that was really pretty. And fall, which is when I'm filming this right now. The turkey, the pumpkins are cute, right? The witch for Halloween, which was just yesterday when I'm filming this. And then, of course, you get into the winter ones. I thought this was cute. The Mouse King from the Nutcracker, the Santa. And you can even make these larger, right? If you wanted to take that Santa and blow him up, make him a lot bigger, you could do that. And he could be like a little mini quilt. It'd be cute. Globetrotting, we have different modes of transportation here. Different animals from around the world as well. Lots of fun ideas in there. Out west, okay, this really hits home for me, being in Calgary, Alberta. The cowboys, of course, right? Chuckwagon and the bucking bronc. All of those very fun. And then entertainment, which is a lot of sports, really. Again, we're in the World Series right now, so the baseball, there's lots of baseball motifs in here. And then she has ones that would be good in border. So you got the thinner, longer ones. Look at this. That's gorgeous. Take a little bit of work to quilt that out, but it can be done a little bit at a time. Again, the fall ones here. All the little birds. Holly. You can see lots of uses for these. And of course, we've got to come into some cats. I'm all about the cats. This is fun too, right? I thought this was very cute as well. So that's just a few of the designs in this book. I can't go over all 850 of them, but I like how she has them separated into different categories. So if you're looking for, you know, an all-over meandering design, there's a category for that. If you're looking for birds, you can find those in a category. So they're not just scattered helter-skelter. You can go to that specific section and see what's there. Think about using maybe only part of them if you want. Think about using them as a whole cloth quilt or a little mini quilt. Think about blowing them up a bit if you wanted to, or reducing them, whichever way you wanted to do that. So this is really a great reference book to have. I don't know what else that you would need. If you couldn't find this book, it probably isn't something you really need for your quilts. The only thing I've got to say about this book that's a little bit different is a couple things. So on some of them we have indications of where it starts and how it goes along. But in other ones, like some of these, we do not have that. So you have to kind of think it through as to where it starts and how that quilting is going to go. The other thing is I found these quite light. You probably will notice in the video, the designs are not drawn very darkly, as opposed to in the book here, where you can see that they're much darker. So if you're trying to trace these, you might want to photocopy them first, go over the design with the Sharpie. That will also help you, understand how you're going to quilt it out before you transfer that design to your quilt. If you want to, draw it or chalk it onto your quilt, might be helpful because they are a little bit light. That's the only thing I would have to say about this one. But otherwise, a great reference book to have for free motion quilting, long arm quilting, or even hand stitching. If you want to get your own copy of 850 Free Motion Quilting Designs by Laura Fritz, check up above or in the description below because I'll put a link there for you. I've shared some of the designs from this book with you, but you might be wondering, how do you get set up for free motion quilting? Well, don't worry, I got you covered. Check out this video that has all the information that you need. And for more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.